to my sewing room. We have such an exciting show for you today. The theme of the show is yo-yos. Now, this is sort of like a walk back into history because making yo-yos is a very old technique, but we have some of the cutest, most wonderful projects for you using a very old technique, but just for today. The first little idea I have for you is putting a couple of yo-yos on a pair of crew socks, the kind you buy for your kids to wear from little children on up to adults. See how two little yo-yos, this time in a blue and red, really liven up the crew socks? Now, I have a placemat for you, and you might say, well, that's the world's ugliest placemat. Look at that bright orange and that bright green. It is absolutely beautiful when used with the right things. And by the way, this is an antique placemat. It's very old. Now see how cute this would be if I have a little cup and saucer. This is shaped like a leaf, and my cup is like a little orange tulip. See how beautiful this placemat would be when used with the right china. So it'd be fun for you to make a placemat to go with your things that you already have. This is a little yo-yo pillow, which I think we bought for $3 at an antique store. This is kind of unusual because the little yo-yos are only attached like at one place. And you know what I think this is made out of? Does anyone remember feed sacks and flour sacks that you used to make dresses out of? Well, I think this is a flour sack yo-yo pillow. Now, I've saved the best for last. I want to share with you something that I've brought off of one of my twin beds upstairs. Actually, I have two of these gorgeous yo-yo quilts that my Aunt Chris made. Now, she made these in the 30s. My Aunt Chris was a home economics teacher and loved to sew better than anybody I guess I ever knew. And she spent hours, and by the way, these are all shiny ribbons, beautiful colors. She spent hours making this yo-yo quilt, and she told me a funny story, by the way, that a lot of the ladies loved to make yo-yos, but they didn't have any silk fabric or any ribbons because it was during the Depression when yo-yos were very popular. And she said that ladies used to wait till 2 or 3 days after a funeral, and then they'd go up and they would collect the ribbons off of the flowers that had been sent to a funeral, and then they'd just have a whole lot of fun making yo-yo quilts out of them. Won't you come over to the technique boards with me, and I'd like to share with you how easy it is to make yo-yos. There are several ways of making yo-yos, and as you might have guessed, I'm going to start with the easiest one. I'm going to use water-soluble stabilizer and cut a circle for the yo-yo and a circle of the water-soluble stabilizer. Then I will straight stitch on the sewing machine all the way around, and then I'll do one of two things. I will come in here with my regular scissors and clip the curves, because you know curves don't turn right side out too well unless they're clipped. Or let me just show you another trick that I really think is easier. Remember good old-fashioned pinking shears? Well, this is where they're going to really come in handy. If you go around that curve with pinking shears, you won't have to clip it because the pinking shears automatically clip it for you. So then you will have one step you don't have to do. Okay, now then, after you have sewn your water-soluble stabilizer together and trimmed it all the way around, you're going to cut a little hole in your water-soluble stabilizer and turn it right side out, and then you're going to play with it till it's nice and level and even like this one is. See, I still have my water-soluble stabilizer behind there. Now the next step is to stitch by hand with quilting thread preferably, or heavier thread. Just make little running stitches all the way around, and then you're going to pull those little running stitches and pull it up into a yo-yo. Here it has been pulled into a yo-yo. Now the size circle that you make depends on the size yo-yo you have. This was made with a smaller circle. This yo-yo was made with a medium-sized circle, and this yo-yo was made with the same size circle, but if you look real carefully on the inside, I did not turn under any. I just simply made a circle, stitched around it, and that's a raw edge on the inside. You might want to use that sometime for effect. Now then, if you want to do it the old-fashioned way, simply cut a circle of fabric, take your hand sewing needle and thread, fold down about 1/4 inch all the way on the outside, and pull it up to make it gather the yo-yo. Now I'm going to take my pinking shears with me, and we're going to come over here to the sewing machine, and we're going to do a little bit of the actual sewing on these yo-yos. Now I have in front of me my water-soluble stabilizer. stitch or pin to and partially stitch to my fabric. All right, I have drawn a circle, and I'm going to finish sewing nearly all the way around on the line I have drawn, attaching my water-soluble stabilizer and my fabric. I've got to leave, no, actually I'm going to go ahead and sew the whole thing all the way around. Don't leave anything because I'm going to turn it in the middle after I make a little slit. All right, now I have sewn it. Now then I'm going to take it out of the machine and take a few pins off here, of course, and then I'm going to take my pinking shears and come in here and really pretty closely, where I just have about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, I'm going to trim. Oh, don't cut into the line, Martha. I'm going to trim all the way around here. Now this is the easy method, the water-soluble stabilizer method. I'm using the pinking shears to trim so I won't have to clip my curves. This is really the easy way to make a yo-yo. Now when I want to make a little slice in the middle over here, I only make a little slice through the water-soluble stabilizer. So I come in here and I just kind of pull them apart to be sure I don't cut my fashion fabric or my yo-yo fabric. I make a little slice this way, and I will also probably make another little slice where it's kind of like a cross in the middle. Make another little slice. Now that'll make it easy to turn. All right, I've pinked it, and now I'm going to turn it, and it makes it really easy to get a nice round yo-yo if you use this water-soluble stabilizer method. I will finger press it, and then I will get my needle and thread and begin to make my running stitches. See, doesn't that make a nice round circle? That's one way of making a nice yo-yo, and then I'm going to stitch around it by hand and pull it up. This is another yo-yo that Louise Baird taught me how to do. You simply zigzag over quilting thread. Be sure you don't catch the quilting thread. Then I begin to gather it with the quilting thread, and as those gathers begin to take shape, I come in and with my fingers, finger press the inside in, the little edging as I begin to gather it up, finger press the edging in. See how pretty that's even a finished edge right there. And that would be another way of making a yo-yo. Now the way that they were all made a long time ago, or I guess nearly all of them, you take your hand sewing needle and you make some little running stitches. I'm going to go around, just simply fold over 1/4 of an inch, and I'm probably not getting anywhere near 1/4 of an inch right now, but you just kind of fold as you go and press it. I can remember my Aunt Chris sitting and making these little yo-yos. She loved to sit at night when she was talking to friends or to her family and do handwork. And then you just sew it like that, and then you pull it in. Now the way, if you really want to cheat, there is a company, or even several companies, that make yo-yos. These are made in Bangladesh, and they make yo-yos and sell them. So if you really want to cheat, you can always just purchase your yo-yos at a craft store. And now I have the most adorable doll dress you have ever seen that has yo-yos on the skirt. Today, the little doll named Martha, who wears glasses just like me, is wearing the cutest yo-yo dress. This is sort of a quilting fabric, beige and white. I want you to notice this beautiful bias, 2 bias strips that are placed in at the princess waistline. And then look at the cute skirt. It has the cutest little yo-yos with little buttons in the middle, bias pieces for the stems for the flowers, little leaves, and this is machine stitching that goes along and makes the grass. Now, if that weren't cute enough, I want to show you something else. This is a little bird that was made at home with clay that you can harden in your stove. Look at the little clay worm that was made at home, I might add, and hardened in the stove. Then there is the cutest little ladybug you ever saw over here with red clay and then the little black spots and 2 little holes punched in it before it was hardened. This also made at home. And then look at the little bumblebee, made at home also and hardened in the oven. What an adorable dress for Martha and for your doll too. Now, this is the bodice of the dress. Let's go over here and see these techniques. These are 2 bias strips that have simply been shaped and up and over and the other side and then stitched down. Now, we did yo-yos earlier. These, I've already run the stitches around these, and I'm simply going to pull them up. These were done the old-fashioned way, just pull the stitches around. I bet you my fingers are on your way and you can't even see. Anyway, pull it all the way around and you have a beautiful yo-yo. Now here are the other ingredients for the yo-yo skirt. This is a bias strip which has been folded in 1 time, 2 times, and then another time, and that will be stitched down to make the stems for the flowers. Then a little bud made out of the same fabric will be for the leaves. Of course, I'll trim that away, and I'll do my zigzagging to hold the hem in on the bottom to make the green grass. And then, oh, here's another cute trick. You take a button and place it on the center of the yo-yo. I'll just stick that in there so you can see, and stitch all of that in to finish off the edge. Here it is, a little bit more nearly finished with the bias strip for the stem, zigzag down in the little leaf. And here's the yo-yo with the button in the middle for the little face. Now this is kind of an interesting yo-yo. This is a little bud flower and it's folded to the side. It's a yo-yo, except we ran 1 more line of gathering. See, here's the yo-yo line. Then we did 1 more line of gathering and pulled both of them, and then it kind of lays sideways like a bud. See, that's not a full yo-yo, that's a baby yo-yo. Now then, this is what I really want to show you, how much fun this is. This, by the way, is all of these buttons are made out of a colored modeling compound that supposedly is somewhat like clay, but this particular company says it's better than clay. It hardens in a home oven if you bake it at 10 to 20 minutes at 275 degrees. And all the craft stores have a lot of different colors. Now this little ladybug I think is so cute, I thought I would make one for you to show you that even I can make a ladybug button. Okay, I'm going to pull off some of the red clay, roll it into a ball, and then I'm going to mash it in a ladybug shape. And then I'll take my shish kebab stick here and make a middle line right down the middle. And now I have to get some black clay to make some tiny little dots. I have to embellish it. I'll roll that around. There's the first little dot. I'll get just a smaller piece this time and make even a smaller dot. Oh, my dots are a little bit big, but that's all right. I'll make them smaller next time. Another little dot. And another little dot. Now that ladybug has to have a head, so I'm going to make her a black head too. Just roll the clay once again, stick it around here so that ladybug will have a nice big head. Now then, how am I going to make a button out of it? I'm going to take my shish kebab stick, go down in the middle, be sure that hole is open, then go down over here and be sure that hole is open, and now I'm ready to put that in the oven and bake it as many ladybugs as I would like to bake. We next have a beautiful home decorating project for you. This pillow is so sweet. It's a yo-yo heart pillow. There's a little gathered ruffle that goes around the heart shape, and then these are actually purchased yo-yos. We cheated just a little bit, just simply stitched on, and I think it makes quite an elegant pillow. Well, very easy to do, and I'm going to show you how easy. I have the heart gathered up, and I didn't even have to finish off the edges, and I'll show you why. We're going to just slip around here with a straight stitch, stitching this heart on. Get the pin out there. We're going to slip on around here, finish stitching the heart on, and then I've got an little excess piece at the end. I'm not going to worry about it till I get around there. Once again, it's going to be covered up with the yo-yos, so it will never show. Okay, I've stitched all the way around this heart, and I'm going to now start placing the yo-yos after I take the pins out. I'm going to stitch them. Well, I'm not going to place the yo-yos yet. I'm going to come in here and cut off that excess piece that I didn't need to worry about. Now I will have to cut away these strings, of course, but after all of the stitching is done, I can simply come in here and place yo-yos. Well, I guess I'll put several, I'll kind of mix up the colors a little bit. That'd be prettier, wouldn't it? I'll do the yo-yos around, and as you can see, that's going to cover up those raw edges. Well, once again, I got plaids. I'm going to put them apart. Anyway, that makes the sweetest pillow, and then I'm going to go on in the middle and fill in the middle also, as you can see how I did on this pillow right here. I think that's really pretty, and you talk about quick and easy. Next, I have a really sweet craft for you, the cutest little yo-yo dolls you've ever seen. Before I share with you these adorable little dolls, I have a super quick yo-yo Christmas tree ornament to share. This little ornament is so cute and fun, and if you have any scraps left over of quilting fabrics, it would be a really great item to make. And you know what, it'd be fun also for your children and grandchildren to help make these too. The little ornament has a little red shiny piece on top, a little plastic piece on top, and the way you attach that is you just simply unfold the ornament, and the pipe cleaner, and fold it over that little piece. And this is sort of like a little fishing wire that holds it together. As a matter of fact, it doesn't hold together anymore because I pulled it apart. Then you use pipe cleaners and little yo-yos of various sizes. They're graduated in size, and you can pull them up on the pipe cleaner to have them as close or as far apart as you want to. And then here's just a little wooden spool. After you get the yo-yos pulled where you want to, fold over the pipe cleaner, put it in the bottom of the spool, and then just kind of fold it over. You can also put a little dab of glue on there if you'd like for it to be really, really secure. And there's your little Christmas tree ornament. Now, I promised you these adorable yo-yo dollies. This dolly has bells for her hands and feet. She has a braided yarn for the hair and a little painted on face. This little doll has cloth hands and feet. Once again, she has braided yarn for her hair, a painted on face. She also has little cloth feet. Isn't that cute? Now, these dolls basically are put together with elastic thread. Let's see how that's done. First of all, you've got to make the little doll head. So that's a circle. Paint on the eyes and nose and mouth, and then I'll turn this under and whip it together before I put on my hair. I use a large tapestry needle, as large an eyed tapestry needle as you can, because you're going to have to push these yo-yos through both of those strands of elastic. The easy way to get this little hole in the circle is simply to fold your circle once and fold it twice, and come in with your scissors and just make a little clip on the bottom. And if you just make that little clip before you even make your yo-yo, it'll be a lot easier to get the needle through. Okay, I've made all of these yo-yos. I've already put 2 of them up on the dolly. I've put on his collar. Now I'll just show you. We're just going to slip that elastic right through there. That is, if I can slip it through there. And you know what? Now here's something we'll have to be careful of. I got caught in the fabric and didn't go through the right place. So let me see if I can try that again and get it through there. Well, Martha, okay, here we go. There. Now then, you put a couple of them up for the neck, and then we're going to have to take the hand pieces, which I already have the hand piece ready to go with this elastic cord. Let me pull this little doll back over here. You have 1 or 2 yo-yos around her neck, then the elastic cord for her arms comes through here, and the yo-yos are slipped on her arms, and then the hands are already attached. All right, then it comes through the neckline area before a little knot is tied. The same thing happens over here. Then come back to the neckline area and tie a little knot, and then we're going to use double cords, make her body till she's down to right here. Now, since we have 2 cords, we can then separate one for one leg, one for the other leg, and then thread the yo-yos on, and then sew the bottom of the cord onto the doll's little foot. And now we have one of the cutest little dollies. Oh, I just think she's adorable. You know what would be a lot of fun to do too on this dolly? If you would use the fabric from your little girls or your little boys, you could make this a little boy doll. It doesn't have to be a girl doll. From the little outfits they've had, their little school clothes, you can make a yo-yo doll with the fabrics out of their school clothes. Now I'm going to pull the little Christmas doll over one more time and show you the little Christmas doll with her jingle bells for her hands and her feet, and those wonderful Christmas fabrics. And of course, she has to have red hair since she is a Christmas doll. Now I'm going to show you another beautiful square on the quilt that I hope you've been enjoying throughout this series. this beautiful Swiss batiste and lace quilt has some very interesting squares, but the one that I would like to share with you today is what we call French Waterfall. It's right here. It has 2 rows of scallops, one on the blue, and then it's attached to the white. And I've used the machine embroidery to do wonderful blue stitches right down the middle, and then there are 2 more rows of lace all attached to the white square. The base squares on all of these are white, and then we've just used other colors to work with them. Okay, first of all, to make the centerpiece, I need a strip of the blue Swiss batiste or whatever fabric you're going to use. Then I'm going to come around and pin my scallops. Let me show you how that's done. I have put the pins on the big side of the lace, and it kind of is floppy a little bit up in here. Well, French laces have a cord, a pull cord. I'm going to put my pin underneath the pull cord, which makes a scallop around the top, and if you'll see what happens there, when I pulled it, it lay down completely flat. All right, I'm going to miter this corner, so I'll do a pin at the top, a pin at the bottom. I'm going to fold it back on itself, remove the pin at the bottom that goes through 2 layers, and then miter it around, and then begin to put my pins on the bottom again. The next step, after I make one of these blue strips, is to zigzag the outside, the inside edge and the inside edge, and then I'll trim away all this excess blue. All right, when the strip is finished, it will look like this with the scallops and the blue in the middle. I'll have one for this side, and to attach it to the white square, I simply lay it down on the square, zigzag the outside again, and then I make one more of these strips to attach over here on this side. After it is attached, it will look like this, one strip and then the other strip, and then when it is done in the proper colors, it will look like this, and then I did my machine embroidery down the middle. If you'll come along with me to the sewing machine, I'll show you another trick you can do where you will not have to draw on your fabric. Now I'm using a lace shaping board right here that has diamonds and hearts and scallops. You can always draw your figure on the board, that's not a problem, but some people don't like to draw on their fabric. So if you're using a see-through fabric, then I place it at the top of the board, and you can see the lines that are already drawn on the board for you, and you can shape your laces without drawing anything. Then you remove it from the board, go to your sewing machine, and do a wing needle entredot to attach it. Now I wonder if you won't come along with me to my attic, where I have a very special surprise for you. This blouse is very unusual, and as a matter of fact, it's the only one I think I've ever seen that has lace under the arms. All right, this is a beautiful collar. Can you see these little points? They're not really points, it's little square shaped pieces with lace around them. Let me pull another one out so you can see that goes in the front, and the lace is so pretty. It's gathered around the edge, and then the insertion is mitered. Then coming down on the blouse are just beautiful strips of wide round thread lace. Then there's another kind of decorative trim, and if you want to know what I think this trim was added at a later date, to tell you the truth. It's a little bit shiny for the turn of the century. Now this is what I wanted to tell you about. Under the arm, where the underarm seam should be, is a magnificent piece of lace insertion. It appears that the underarm seam has just been folded back and then stitched by hand where the lace insertion has been stitched in between. So I thought that was really interesting. And the sleeve is very beautiful too. It just has a piece of insertion and then magnificent wide round thread gathered lace that goes around. As is so true many times on these beautiful turn-of-the-century blouses, the back is really as pretty as the front. The points are there once again, the insertion, and this, let me just show you how this is finished. The actual insertion is folded over with a little placket where those tiny little buttons are covered. Then there's a little stitch in between, and then it's folded over again with a tiny little button, and then there's a stitch in between. And once again, a tiny little button, except I think that tiny little button is gone. And then the hooks to hold it, and also there's a little placket, a little casing around the neckline that ribbon has been run through. Thank you so much for joining me in my sewing room today. I hope you'll be able to join me again next time.